with the Lake Wales Arts Council, here for your virtual summer arts camp, and this is Mr. Alvarado.
Hi guys, my name is Brandon Alvarado. I'm the Education Coordinator for the Lake Wales Arts Council. I want to welcome you back to another fantastic visual arts lesson here for our virtual summer arts camp. So grab your friends, grab your family, and let's have an amazing time. What are we working on today?
Today we are doing charcoal contour drawings.
Oh, nice.
And we are going to use shoes.
Oh, cool.
So you could do this with your own shoes if you have some that are interesting looking, like boots, or go steal your mom's high heels. Don't mess them up. Or like pots and pans would be kind of cool to do this with. Something where you can get a little bit of height and some interesting shapes.
Okay.
So we're going to use charcoal for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
And this is burnt vine charcoal. They actually take, I believe, willow and grapevines, and I don't know exactly how they do it. They smoke it and turn it into charcoal.
And if we don't have charcoal at home, what else can we use?
You could do this in pencil too.
Okay.
So we're going to use charcoal, and I also have a kneaded eraser, but you could use a regular eraser too. If you have one of these and it's in a pack and it's not opened yet, you need to take it out and stretch it. His is a little mushroom, thanks to one of our students last semester. But this is how you clean your kneaded eraser, is actually to knead it. If it gets really grimy, you just kind of work on it a little while and it'll incorporate all the dust and then it'll be clean again.
Sorry, mushroom.
So our kneaded eraser, and that's really all we need for this class. This is just a really simple project to help train your eyes so you can draw a little faster and see shapes better.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is pretend that we're like a little ant crawling along the edge of each of these lines.
Okay.
With our charcoal. So I'm just going to start, and I'm thinking about how big it's going to be and where it's going to sit on the paper.
Okay.
So really lightly, I'm just going to make a big shape for one of the boots, just that I know where stuff's going to go. And this is where my other boot's going.
Because I'm looking at different
angles. You can go
angle,
off the paper a little bit if it needs to. So this is all I've done. Very simple abstract shapes to get started, just so I know where it's going to sit on my paper. And so from there, I'm going to just pick a starting point, which I think I'm going to start under the heel of this one because there's an interesting shape there. And very carefully follow the contour of the boot. And I'm looking at the angle of like the little heel under here, because that'll help really give this some dimension, and then where the next boot is overlapping with it. And the angle of that. If you want to check angles, I don't have, let me get a little straight edge so we can talk about this.
Well, I don't know what I made, but
It's close enough.
we'll have some fun.
Both tests. Okay, so to check the angles, if you have just a pencil for a straight edge, just so you can look at it, I sit back and hold the pencil along the same, like I'm looking at the edge of this boot right here. And so I'm trying to get it on the same angle, and then I can transfer that angle down to my paper and make sure that I'm doing it right. Because sometimes your brain confuses it. Your eye sees it right, your brain says, no, it's a boot, it's this shape. So you need to trust your eye. And this is just a tool to help you do that a little better.
Take two for me.
So I'm getting just some of these lines in. And if I make a mistake, doesn't matter, just erase it. So I'm not going to make any mistakes. But
I made a mistake, so I have a handy eraser here.
So I'm going to work on this boot some more. And this is smudgy, so you can't just be dragging your hand all over the paper. You need to keep your hand up. And that's why we're trying to make really accurate shapes too, so we're not just dragging all this paper.
Okay, that looks a little better for me.
Okay, I might have made a mistake.
You jinx yourself. That's okay though.
Okay, so I'm just gonna erase it. Here's my little pointy toe. So I'm just looking at these angles as I'm doing this. making sure I don't get too skinny on certain parts of it or anything like that. These have been crushed down into my closet, so they're kind of an interesting shape right now. So I'm gonna look at the angle of this part of the boot and make sure I get that right too. And another thing that I'd look at is where this part ends compared to where it hits on this. So if we held up a pencil here, I know that this part, when I'm drawing it, should not come past about like the middle of the part that's sticking out here. So that's something else to keep in mind. So I can look at the angle and I can look where it ends, do like a drop down line. So I'm trying to get all these little, and mine's just gonna go off on that boot. And after I get the general idea in here and where all the big folds are, we can go in and like put the smaller patterns and stuff like that. But for now, we're just working on the big stuff. So I'll show you guys as soon as I have one of these boots done. I like how this one's kind of just slouched over.
Yeah. Just having a good time.
Yeah. This boot's partied out.
It's seen a lot of dances, huh?
No, probably just. So that's the first boot. This is the back boot that I started on first. I picked that one because it was at the top of the paper, so I wouldn't be dragging my hand over it this whole time. So I'm gonna work on the one that's closer to me now. And so like on this, I'm gonna look at the negative space in here to help me figure out the shape of the back of this one where it's flopping over. So there's kind of a triangle down in here that I'm looking at to get this shape. And I'm also looking at where it ends here compared to where like I can see this ends down here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. So I know that it needs to be above that when I draw this part. And then I can check the angle over here again and transfer that to my paper. And then I'll look at where the toes of each of these end. This one ends here, and this one's all the way over here. So when I draw it, I know this one ends about here on my other boot. So it'll be around here. And I'm gonna look at the space in here too. This is all just comparative. This is how we figure out what it's gonna look like.
I like how I went to blow the dust off my paper and I have a mask on.
Did you blow it on me?
No,
oh.
I can't because I have a mask on. I realized I'm like, what am I doing? So don't do that.
Yeah, it's
don't
not
blow
gonna work
dust
if
on
you
your
have a
paper.
mask
Yeah.
on.
But don't blow dust on your friend's paper. That's not cool.
No. So I noticed that I just made another mistake because where my boot's flopping over, it's still in the middle of this boot.
Oh, I see there, yeah.
So it's too skinny right there. So I'll just erase it. You know, we're trying to learn. We're not trying to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's just getting better at this is the most important part.
But why charcoal? Why would people use charcoal? You know, what's up with that? Why not just use a pencil?
Because it's more fun because it's fuzzy. That's why we chose that for this. And it's just something new to try. It is nice that it erases so well and it's so dark, so you get a good contrast with it, which I like. But it's, you know, form that was here before pencil.
Yeah.
And erasers. Who knows when erasers came about?
Oh my goodness.
You just had to be perfect.
Or it's it's messed up. Gotta do it again.
Yeah, I don't know what they did before erasers. And so I've got a general idea of my other boot. You kind of have to hold still to do this. This is part of the problem. And it looks a little odd because of the perspective. So it's elongated a little bit here. And there's a good chance that I didn't measure it right, but we're gonna move on just so this video doesn't go forever.
That's okay.
So from here, this is the contour drawing basically. I could go back in and put some of the patterns maybe on the ends of the boots too. Or you could go in and shade this as well. So I'm gonna do the patterns a little bit first, and it would be nice to get some of the darkest areas shaded as well, just to give it more dimension, like underneath the fold of this or some of these lines, because that's what helps your eye move around a little bit better. So I'm gonna carefully observe where all these little stitch marks are. I've never really looked at these patterns. They're almost like little flames.
Oh yeah, this from the wear and tear and such, yeah. Oh, and
And
these
all the
here,
little
right here,
stitch
yeah.
marks, yeah. My parents are out in Texas part of the time and they have a boot tree where they take all the old boots that you've worn out
Yeah.
and you just can't keep resoling them and they hang them on the boot tree.
Well, that's awesome.
So it's kind of fun because then you get to see your boots from like 10 years ago.
Just kind of hanging there.
Just hanging out. So just trying to be really accurate with this and where it all is landing. I feel like the Durango boot manufacturer should be sponsoring us.
Sponsor us, please.
These are Durango boots. I love them. I've had them for 5 years.
Yes.
They've held up so well.
Exactly.
Great art props,
Exactly.
too.
Great art props.
So I'm following all these stitch lines. I discovered yesterday,
Yeah.
as I blew out my 4th set of flip-flops in
Yeah.
like the last 2 months, that my flip-flops are not actually stitched like these Durangos. They are fake stitched and glued.
Oh, nice.
So they're falling apart.
Okay.
But
boots
these Durangos are
these
gonna
are high
last.
high quality boots, high quality art props.
Yep. All right, so I'm getting all my stitches in
Yeah.
here.
And this is the great thing about, if you have your own shoes up here, like, oh, what am you put your shoes on, and you just, oh, these are my shoes, but then you actually get to look at your shoe and what's the design of your shoe and such like that.
Cool to see how they're put together.
Skinny.
They put these little steel toes on the end of the boots
Yeah.
too, so you don't skin the toes off. Tack them down. So it was interesting getting all these extra little details in. I thought about putting the darks and lights in, but
Yeah.
I really can't see the dark in this upper part of the boot, so I might just color in my background solid black to add to the contrast and interest, and then call it done from there. So to do that, you can use the edge of this as well as the actual pointy part. So I'm gonna go in, make this horrible scratchy noise with the edge of mine. How's yours doing over there?
Well, I'm working on this second boot here right now, so I'll kind of show you guys what I'm doing.
You're working on training your eyes.
I'm training my eye. So yeah, so this is a beginner's first time kind of doing with the charcoal, and this actually is my first time working with charcoal. Looking from a different perspective and trying to see all those things that you were talking about. So I kind of got this boot down here. I'm struggling a little bit with this boot, and that might have again been because I just didn't use the right perspective of it. Yeah.
You gotta get used to using your eyes this way. And we did this with some of the instruments in our collection.
And those are one of my
year.
favorite things that you guys did, was taking the different horns that we had, putting it on the pedestal, and seeing what kind of things that each individual saw within like the same horn.
Yeah, they all were sitting in a little bit of a different spot so they could see different parts, but they did a really good job on those. They were so good at observing.
Yeah.
So I'm putting some dark area in here, and I covered it with the edge, and now I'm going in and actually coloring it in. And then we can smudge it too if you want. But it's just really adding to the contrast, which makes it pop out better. So something you always want to think about is, we get very into like the little details, but you won't be able to see this from far away if you make it all for just being a 1.5 feet away from your face. It's better if you make it higher contrast and a little bit flashier, so if somebody walks into the room, they can see your drawing. So that's something to always keep in mind too. And you can do that with color and contrast, and some things need to be sharper looking and some are fuzzier. There's a whole bunch of ways to do that.
And hopefully we'll go in more detail of that maybe in a future lesson or a different time, yeah. So guys, we'd like to see the different, maybe if you want to send us pictures at the different stages that you're working on here. We'd love to see kind of what you're creating, maybe what you use, boots, your own shoes, pots, pans, or we could use anything. So you could use the coffee cup over there.
The
if you wanted
violin
to.
you're not practicing on
Exactly,
right now.
practice your violin 40 hours a day. We'd love to see what you guys are creating. So make sure you send it to us, parents, guardians, grandparents, at Lake Wales Arts Council on Facebook or Instagram. We'd love to see what you guys are creating, and then maybe we'll get some inspiration from that too.
So I've got my background all filled in. I kind of like it rough.
Yeah.
If you're like a details person, you could actually go through and smooth this with your finger. Maybe I'll do that just for an example, just so we can see. But because you can get this very smooth.
Yeah.
And you just do it lightly. You want to make sure your hand's clean, because if you have oil on your fingers, it'll make this kind of do weird things. But I'm doing it really lightly, just to make it as soft.
This boot's a little short now. I cut my boot a little short.
You're doing very well for a beginner. Okay, so there I just kind of blurred it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Blow away from your friend. Okay, so
that's awesome,
this
guys.
is a
Look at
finished
that.
piece. And you guys, you really can't go back over this with any other stuff because it'll wash off if you try to paint it or something.
Yeah.
But to what we call fix it so that this doesn't all wipe off, I'll show you guys. There's something called fixative, but there's also something called aerosol hairspray. And if you have a can of aerosol hairspray, you can use this. I'm not going to do it in here because we don't want to smell it. But take it outside and put it on the ground and hold this pretty far ahead. You don't want to get down on here. Hold it up high and spray it and let it dry, and then do it again, and this won't smudge. So you could put it in your portfolio afterwards.
That's awesome. So this is her finished piece right here. Here's mine, maybe somewhat halfway through, but thanks for joining us again, guys. Make sure to send us those pictures, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Bye.